Hi there, Eve here for another session of Let's Eat with Eve. And today what I have is Chipotle. And the reason why I chose to have Chipotle is that it seems Chipotle is a food that a lot of my clients struggle with. That when they have Chipotle or any other kind of Mexican food, it seems like all bets are off. They end up eating too much past the point of comfort. So I thought, what a great idea if I had some Chipotle with you. So that's what we're gonna do today, and I hope you enjoy our conversation. I hope you enjoy this journey, and I invite you to bring food if you have it with you so we could eat together. So let's take this out of the bag. I got some chips here. I got some hot sauce. I got myself a bowl, and of course, some guacamole. And so, here we go. Get my napkins out. Get rid of this bag because we don't need it. Have a little note there. So before we get started, I just want to give you a chance to tune into your body. Let's take a moment together to determine, how hungry are you right now? So in a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being starving or famished, very hungry, and 10 being totally stuffed, where are you in that scale? Where are you? 5 is somewhere in the middle. For me, I feel like I am a 3 or a 2. So 3 is like you're hungry, you know you're hungry. 2 is when the hunger is a little bit strong. And I have to admit today, my hunger is more in that extreme just because this whole process of getting the food took a little bit longer than I thought it would. So yeah, I'm pretty hungry, I'm ready to eat. I'm salivating just looking down at the guacamole and at the salsa. So where are you in that scale? Where do you feel like you are? There is no wrong, there is no right. It's just determining and getting in tune with where you are right now. And as I prepare this food, let's set some intentions together for this meal. And so I'll go first. I'll share my intentions. My intention is to enjoy this meal. I love Mexican food, and the smell, it just smells so good. So my intention is to really take my time and savor this meal and to be present. My intention is to stay present because it could be distracting to eat while I'm on camera and trying to, be entertaining or interesting. So I also want to stay present in my body. Another intention is to not ruin my lipstick. I think that's gonna be a standing intention just because I wanna be cute. And I think that's about it. How about you? What are your intentions going into this meal? Do you ever set intentions before having a meal? So give yourself a chance to do that now, to set that intention. And usually I shake this because I like it all mixed, but I forgot to do that. It's been so long since I've had Chipotle because of this whole quarantining thing, so I'm very excited to have this now. I had it a few times during quarantine, but not as much as usual. So I forgot some of my traditional things that I do. So, we have cheese flying everywhere. So, that looks so colorful. It looks so beautiful. Can you see that from there? So pretty. Oh my goodness. They do such a good job over there. And they were so friendly today. So, now that we've set our intentions, now that we tuned into our bodies, let's take a few breaths here just to become present, come into this moment because, I was just running around, came back from Chipotle, driving my car, parking it, sanitizing my hands and all of that stuff. So let's just take a moment to just take a few breaths to come here and now, to come into our bodies, to become present with the food and the sensations and the delights that come with eating. And I feel ready to get started, so let's dig in. What are you eating? If you're eating with me, I hope some of you are, please type in the box below, in the YouTube comments, what it is you're having right now that we're eating together. Again, I'm having a Chipotle bowl, so delicious, and with some chips and some guacamole. A friend taught me this, to just open it up like that. And I get my guacamole on the side because secretly I feel like they're giving me more guacamole. And honestly, I remember a time when I was scared of guacamole, and I would wonder who would want extra guacamole. And so it's so interesting now to be that person who does little tricks to get more guacamole in their food. And I also like to put it on the side because I like to dip my chips in it. So delicious. I hope that's not too loud in the microphone. And even if it is, so what? It makes it more like we're eating together. So, something that I want to share with you, conversation I want to have with you while we have our meal together, is about plants. I know people who know me very well. Recently, during this quarantine and a little bit before that, I've gotten really heavily into plants, into sprouting seeds, into growing things. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot from doing that. And I actually learned a lot about food and our relationship with eating from my plants. And I want to share some of what I learned. I'm even going to show you my plants. They're here with us right now. I brought them here to the table just because I wanted to share some things about them. And one of the things about plants that I've noticed that relates to our relationship with food, because when they're seedlings, you have to water them regularly. I have them outdoors, so they're in the sun, and so watering them is something you have to check on a regular basis to make sure that their soil stays slightly moist. And something that I noticed is that different plants consume water at a different rate. You know, I wanted to just put them on a watering schedule. You know, just water them once a day or water them every other day, or, you know, some of them twice a day. And I realized it doesn't work that way, you know, because each of these plants that I have here, and I have dozens more, each of them consume water at their own rate. Not to mention the weather, whether it's breezy or whether it's sunny, impacts, you know, how these different plants consume water. And that reminded me about food. You know, the only way I know to water these plants is when I notice that their soil is starting to dry. And that's similar to our hunger. You know, the only way you know that you're gonna need food is by tuning into your body to see if you're hungry. No app is gonna be able to tell me when to water each of these different plants. That's not how it works. The only way I know it's time to water them is by checking on the soil to see if it's moist. But how many of us do that? You know, with those apps out there now, like MyFitnessPal or our phones and stuff like that, telling us when to eat or how much to eat. We've made it so complicated when our body actually tells us when it's time to eat. So I thought that was very interesting, and that each plant needs a different amount of water at each different stage of its growth, especially as it's coming from like being a seedling to becoming an actual plant. It's taken different amounts of water. So again, the only way to know how much water it needs is by checking on it. I check on it actually a couple times a day to see how my plants are doing. But how often do we take time to go inside and check in on our bodies to see how we're doing, how hungry we are, how tired we are, if there's an emotion coming up, if we're bored, if we need other things like hydration, a nap, a hug, you know? So yeah, so let's take a moment here and check in with ourselves and check in with our food. How do you like what you're eating? This is a little bit spicier than usual, or maybe my taste buds have gotten used to eating bland food, so that's why maybe it's a little bit hotter than usual. How about you? How's your food? Did you make it yourself? Type that in the comments below. I'm curious to know how your food is. And that would be more fun. It'll be more like we're having a real, meal together. It's really funny because before I did this video, I was very excited. I haven't done a video in a while because I've been very busy. And so whenever I get a chance to do a video, it's such a treat. And I actually put on perfume. So yes, right now I'm wearing perfume as we're having this meal together. So I hope you enjoy that as well. I know that might sound silly, but I really wanted to feel this experience and really enjoy it with you. And I love to wear perfume. So that's right. I smell like a flower. Really good. So now that you checked into your food, notice what it is you're seeing. Like, look at it. When I look at my food, I see all of these colors and these textures and all these flavors my mouth is anticipating. I could smell the food. Being able to smell your food actually facilitates your ability to taste the food. So take a moment to look at your food, to smell it. And did you know, I know this might sound weird, but you could actually hear your food. So whether it's the rustling of the bag or the crunch of the chips, we hear our food. Obviously, we taste it. So notice what the food tastes like when it hits your taste buds. Woo, it's salty. And again, I'm wondering if I'm noticing the intensity of all of these flavors just because I've been eating more bland, because I've been eating more home food recently because of quarantine. So just notice. And how about the texture? Food, we also feel it. So what does it feel like in your mouth? That was really nice. I got to feel the coolness of the avocado, the guacamole, against the coarseness of the chips. So it was an interesting contrast. And woo! Tastes pretty salty. So the next thing I noticed about plants, the next thing the plants taught me about food and eating, or just about life as well, is that when you're growing the plants, especially when they're small, is you have to be thoughtful of their roots. In other words, the container that you give them can't be too big or too small. Also, that if you put too many plants in one pot, the roots could disturb one another, making it challenging for them to grow. So it was interesting that plants need space. It almost sounds funny, doesn't it? Like plants need their own space. But I feel like that's also true with us. We need space. We need space to figure ourselves out, to tune in, to take a moment to find out our truth. But many people judge that need for space. Do you let yourself get enough space? I know many of my clients don't. And it's not their fault. Life is so busy, especially now. Life has changed so much. So they're finding that they don't have the space to just check in, to become present inside of themselves. And just like we need food, just like we need air, just like we need, sleep and rest, I feel like getting space, a chance to contemplate, a chance to breathe, is a really important aspect of our well-being. In fact, some people may even use food and numb out while eating to get that space that they actually need. Because when they're using food and they're numbing out, they're getting that space. But what about meeting that need directly? What if you took time regularly as you need to get space, to get perspective? I mean, I'm quarantining alone, so I have plenty of space. But even still, you know, I work during the day, I work with clients, you know, sometimes I see friends and family at night. And even still, it's important for me to take time during my day specifically just for me, just to have that space, just so my roots could really have a chance to spread, and so I could really hear myself think. So how's this meal going for you? Are you able to stay present? How, you know, check back into your body. Let's do another body check. Let me put down my fork for this one. You know, sometimes I like to remind my clients to take time, sometimes in the middle of their meal, just to take a break. It doesn't mean I have to end my meal. Actually, it's helping because this is so spicy. To take a little break, but just to take a break, just to relax, you know, to take in the moment, just like we're digesting our food. Take a moment to digest life, to digest what's happening. And let's take a moment to check in. Where are you in that hunger fullness scale? Let's see. Where am I? I'm no longer in that extreme hunger stage, but I'm not yet satisfied either. So I feel like I'm a 4 becoming a 5. I'm moving towards a place of neutrality. So I'm not quite ready to end my meal yet. Thank goodness, because this is delicious. And I know for me, oftentimes it's hard to stop eating Chipotle, especially because preserving it, like saving it for later, it's never as good, you know, because the lid doesn't go on quite perfectly or something, or I don't know, it's just not as fresh. So that's also why I chose this food, is because also for me, sometimes it's really hard for me to stop just because I love Chipotle so much. So we're doing this together. All right, well, let's continue our food. You know, and some experts recommend like chewing your food a certain number of times to make sure you're chewing enough. And to me, that has always felt artificial. That has always kept me in my head. And so instead, what I like to tell people to do, instead of, you know, counting how many times you're chewing, because again, that's so distracting, is instead to try to be as present as you can with your food. And that's what we're doing right now. You know what? We could even take the next bite with our eyes closed. Let's do that. Let's see how that changes our experience of the meal if we actually close our eyes. It's a lot less distracting, right? At least for me, I got to really tune into my taste buds. How about for you? What was that like? If you close your eyes, if you tried that, I want to know how that was like for you. I want to know if we're having the same experience or how similar or different our experiences are. Basically, I want to hear from you. I love hearing from you. You know, in the last video I did, all the suggestions were so helpful. You know, somebody wrote that I don't need to think about the conversation so much. Just eating together is enough. And that was very helpful for me to know. That I don't have to, you know, entertain so much. Thank you for saying that. A few people wrote that they want to see what I eat during the course of a whole day. And that sounds like a great idea. I don't know what day I will have time to do this several times a day, but I'm thinking about that. I think that was a great suggestion. I think that will be a lot of fun. It might be one long video if you're watching me eat all the meals in my day. Oh, but maybe you're asking because you want to find out the types of foods I have. That's also a good question. So another way of saying, I really take your comments to heart, and also the comments about that you like this, that this was helpful. That's why I made another video of this, just because it was helpful to get that feedback. So, and in the future, we will have a eating exposure thing together, having something that's a little bit more challenging for some people. ice cream, cupcake. I'll take votes. If there's something specific that you want to do, we'll probably end up doing different types of foods if this continues to be helpful. But if you have a specific request, I take requests. The only thing I won't do is food I don't like. So that's one thing I'm gonna say. I don't know if there are very many foods I don't like. I guess I don't eat raw meats and stuff. I don't like that, so don't ask me to do that. But other things I'll do. Yeah. And now, the next thing I learned from plants that I want to share. Because I planted these plants, some of them at the same time, some of them at different times. And I thought it was really cool to see how unique the different plants are. I mean, I didn't label them, but I know which plant is which because they look so different. You know, this is gonna be a lemon tree. You know, I got these lemon seeds from a neighbor. So this is gonna be a lemon tree. And look at the little leaves, you know? It's very thin. And actually a couple of them died. They died pretty easy. They're kind of hard, especially in the beginning, you know? On the other hand, this is a loquat. If you don't know what a loquat is, I didn't know either, so you could Google it. My brother's fiance gave me some loquat seeds. And I ended up loving the fruit. And you know, the leaves and the stem of the loquat is different. It's hardier. And it's really cool because less of these have died. You know, they've been able to withstand the sprouting process. And it was interesting to see like the difference in their strength, in their ability to break through the soil, and also their leaves are so different. These are so much thicker and hardier. Although I planted them about the same time, you could see how different they are, you know? And this reminds me of us. You know, we spend so much time comparing ourselves to each other. And again, I struggle with that sometimes too. We're in a culture that almost seems to like promote that. But we're all really so different. And the differences are what makes us. Like, I'm so excited that I have a lemon tree on the way and a loquat tree on the way, you know? That's very exciting. I mean, I have a lot of lemon trees and I have a lot of loquat trees on the way. I think I'm gonna start selling trees because I just planted so many. But anyway, but how much do we do that? Do you do that? Like, negate your individuality, your uniqueness? Do you realize you don't have a choice? Like, I'm an Eve seed. You know, I was born a little Eve seed and I have to grow up to be Eve. No matter how much I try to be a Rebecca seed, that's my middle name, I will never be one. I will always be an Eve tree, you know? Maybe Rebecca wasn't a good name to use because that was also my name. I was trying to not use another person's name out there. What's another name? I don't know. How about Sherry? I have a cousin Sherry that I love. So how about that? You know, I'm an Eve tree. I'm an Eve plant. No matter what I do, I have to be an Eve plant. Kind of like you know? No matter what you do, you have to be your version of you. And that's not just about your body. It is about your body and what you look like and all of that, right? I have my Eve hair, I have my Eve skin and my Eve nails and my Eve nose and all of that. But I also have my Eve personality. I also have my Eve strengths and my Eve weaknesses. Like, I have my Eve seed mixture thing happening. And I feel people fight that. They fight that by going on diets, by trying to change the way that they look, by, you know, trying to fix themselves and, you know, trying to hide and being fake. But I just want to invite you to be your seed, you know, to let your seed plant and become and grow into the flower or the tree that you're meant to be. Personally, I feel like a tree. Or maybe I feel like a vine. I don't know. Depends on the day. Oh, it's happening, guys. I'm starting to get full. And it's sad because I still have guacamole left. But do you know what I do to preserve my guacamole? I just sprinkle some lemon juice on it and it lasts longer. I don't know what Chipotle does to their guacamole, but it is like delicious. And I love their chips. Yeah. But sometimes they're soggy. Today they were a little bit soggy. I don't know if you could, how well you could hear that crunch. It wasn't as crunchy as usual. Or sometimes I like to take a chip and make like a mini, like a little nacho situation here. I love nachos. Yeah, it wasn't as crunchy as usual. Sometimes that happens with Chipotle chips. I think it's because they put lemon juice in it. So, I'm past neutral, guys. Or people. Sorry, that wasn't socially just. I'm past neutral, and I'm starting to get into comfortably satisfied. So, I realize that. I'm gonna take a moment, and I'm gonna decide, you know, do I wanna stop here, or do I wanna take a few more bites to say bye-bye? I think in my last video I said a bye-bye bite. You know. Something that sometimes that's helpful, for me at least, to deal with the grief or the feeling of bummed that the meal is over. So I think I'm gonna take another bye-bye bite or two, just because I am getting full. We are approaching the end of this meal. It's been so fun to have this meal with you. I really enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the conversation about plants. I was so excited to share that with you, actually. That idea came up in a vision, a meditation actually, that I had. And I got so excited about, you know, the commonalities and the differences, like the commonalities we have with plants and what they have to teach us. Excuse me, that was a burp, oh my goodness. Each time I surprise myself of how gross I can get, but you know, I guess I have to be an Eve plant. I don't have a choice. And how convenient that I'm wearing green. So let's review what we talked about with plants, okay? Each plant needs a different amount of water, and they need a different amount of water for infinite reasons, because they're different seeds, the weather, the container that it's in, so many different things. All I need to do is to check on the soil. I don't need to even be aware of all those different things. I just need to check on the soil, and does the soil look like it needs watering, just like you know? There's a lot of things that are influencing your hunger. You don't even need to know all of the things that are influencing your hunger. There's not enough calculations in the world to accurately calculate that, as well as you learning how to tune into your own body's hunger. And I know that's easier said than done, but at least now you know what you need to do. Come back into harmony with your body. Learn how to tune into it. The next thing we talked about with plants is that the roots need space. They need space to develop and grow, otherwise they crowd each other out, and that could be harmful for the plant. So what space and time are you giving yourself? Are you giving your plant, yourself, to grow, to reflect, to be you? You know, it's great being with other people. That's so fun and so important, but it's also important to have time in yourself, with yourself, connecting with you. And finally, a plant has no choice but to grow into itself. The lemon seed is always going to give us a lemon tree. A loquat tree will always give us a loquat tree. A morning glory seed will only give you a morning glory. Yeah, we have a lot of sun in California. I should have showed you my avocados too. But anyway, you have to be you. You have no choice. That's the seed that you are. I mean, you could try to change yourself by going on diets and being fake, or, you know, shutting yourself down. And people do that. I've done all that. But that's not gonna last for long. And ultimately, that's not gonna make you the happiest you. Anyway, well, as I'm finishing up here, as I said, this is a hard one. I have a hard time stopping with this one because it's good. But I think this is gonna be it. So let's say goodbye. There's a Boys to Men song. I think it's Boys to Men. It's so hard to say goodbye. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. In this case, it's so hard to say goodbye to Chipotle. Did you know that was coming? I didn't know that was coming. I just made that up right now. I thought that was hilarious. So, bye. So, my name is Eve. I hope this video was helpful. Please write a message below in the comments below to let me know what you got out of this video. Please feel free to share this video with other people that you think might enjoy having a meal with somebody to support them and tuning in. And take a minute. Where are you in your body? How are you feeling? I have a comfortable 6 or a 7, somewhere in between there. Comfortable satisfaction, comfortable fullness. I feel like I'm done now. You know, I could go a few hours without eating. I'm satisfied. I feel really good. I feel like my energy is back, yet I still feel comfortable in my body. How are you feeling? I hope you're feeling good. I hope you enjoyed this experience. And I want to thank you so much for watching and for joining me in this meal. Bye.